Okay guys, so as you can see, it's a beautiful day today. It is Saturday, so it is the Sabbath. And I am out here to test the Shimano SLX to see if this reel can do bait finesse out of the box. And I chose the SLX because apparently it's selling really well, selling like hotcakes. And yeah, I think a lot of people would really like to know that. It's got the small 32mm spool. It's kind of heavy, but it casts really well. It casts really free. So we're going to see if it can do bait finesse out of the box. Now I left the bearings straight out of the box. I didn't clean them, but I did fill the spool with probably 110, 120 foot or so of 4-pound mono. As you can see, it's not even close to being even halfway full. I've got it paired with this cheap $15 AliExpress rod that's 6 foot long, and I think it's got a lure rating. This thing is so cheap it doesn't even tell me the lure rating, but I think it's 1 gram to 7 grams. So we're going to see what happens. We're going to see if it can throw 1/8 of an ounce and possibly even 1/16 of an ounce and see how well it does. So there's hardly any wind out here right now, so I don't think we're going to be catching anything. This place is really, really tough. I've found to catch bass. I've been successful, but I've been unsuccessful more than I've been successful. Okay, so we're going to start out with all the brakes on. So all 6 brake shoes activated. We're going to set the spool tension, just minimize the side-to-side play. Now I was really impressed with how free casting this SLX was. So I'm thinking this should be able to at least do 1/8 of an ounce comfortably, paired with the right rod. Okay, so let's pick out our lure here. Okay, let's try this little 3-inch Kitech with what I think is a 1/16 ounce head, and I'll put a picture of how much this weighs on the scale. Okay guys, so I got it rigged up. Once again, this is 4-pound mono. Let's see what happens. Okay, that was pretty bad. The lure went all the way off to the left, which means the brakes were too much. Let's try one more cast here. Yep. All right. So we're going to go down to, let's say, 4 brakes on. Okay. So it's good to know that we have too much brakes. It's better than too little brakes. Okay, that was a little better. Probably went out about 25 foot. Let's try again. Yep, still too much brakes. Still too much brakes. Okay, so let's go down to 3 brakes on, see what happens. Now this lure should be right around 1/8 of an ounce with this snap swivel. Okay, so 3 brakes on, 3 brakes off. A little bit better, but still not, I guess, comfortably fishable, at least in my opinion. Okay, so the accuracy is a little bit better, but the distance is I mean, it's doable for a small creek. Let's try an overhead. Spool is really controlled, and the wind is coming directly in. It's not a strong wind, but there is a wind coming in. It's probably going out about, I don't know, a little over 30 foot. Okay, let's go to this side right here. And we're gonna go to 2 brakes on. So 2 brakes on, 4 brakes off. Let's see what happens. Okay, much better. Still going off to the left a little bit, but the distance went up. Spool control is perfect. I don't see any loops or fluffs, but still feels like it's over braked. It's pulling the lure off to the left. Now there's got to be some fish around here. I know they're getting ready to spawn where I live. Okay, let's try an overhead cast. Okay, that was okay. That was decent. I think I caught some fishing line. Distance still, I don't know, it seems to hit a wall of like around 30 foot. Okay, so let's go down to 1 brake. See if this thing can go to 1 brake on and see if this will work. I'm kind of scared. I think the spool is going to explode, but let's find out. Oh, way better. You could tell the spool was much faster, but there were no fluffs or overruns, so that's awesome. And that thing went probably close to 50 foot. Okay, let's try another one. Okay, that thing went about 60 foot, easy. No problem. Accuracy was good. All right, so Shimano SLX can handle probably 1/8 of an ounce. Pretty easy when you fill up the spool only probably 1/4 of the way and put it on a capable rod. All right, let's see here. Yep, the spool, even with just 1 brake on, is still very controlled. Let me let you guys see it. Of course, it's not handling this quite as easy as a true bait finesse reel, but in a pinch, this thing will definitely work. I know I did this test with the Abu Garcia REVO X, a competitor, and I flushed the bearings and everything, but this is just stock out of the box for the SLX. So not bad. It can go down to 1 brake on, spool very controlled, probably getting close to 60, 65 foot, maybe farther. So just imagine, that probably went about 70 foot. Just imagine what would happen if you clean the brakes, or the bearings, I should say. I want to feel this water temperature. If it's cold still, I'm going to throw a jerkbait on. Oh yeah, it's still pretty cold. Okay, so let's try this way. I saw some fish activity over here. Yeah, that is definitely doable. Huh, how can they resist this lure? Might be this color. Man, that's awesome. So once again, this is just a cheap $15 finesse rod from AliExpress. So anybody can afford that. There's got to be some decent bass here, staging somewhere, getting ready to spawn. I wonder if I can get more distance if I loosen up that spool tension. Let's try that out. Okay, so there's just a little bit of side-to-side wobble now. So I'm doing this because the brakes are really, spool's still really controlled. And I can't turn down the internal brakes anymore. It's on 1. There we go. And I wouldn't loosen the spool tension any more than this, or the line could possibly get caught between the spool and the frame. The water's still cold. I'm going to go to a jerkbait, but let's see if we can handle a lighter lure. Okay guys, I've tied on a Lucky Craft Pointer 48. Now this is a 2.3 gram lure, so it's right in between 1/8 and 1/16, so I guess 3/32 of an ounce. So this is a lure that tends to tumble in the air, and really only the top bait finesse reels can handle this lure comfortably. So let's see what this SLX can do. I'm kind of scared, but we have to find out. Okay, wow. That is, that's pretty awesome. That went probably close to 50 foot. Spool super controlled. Accuracy very good. So that's pretty awesome. Overhead cast. Keep in mind these lures, this is a pretty fast braking system, so these lures are going to fly and hit the water probably quicker than most people are expecting, so you got to have your thumb ready, especially with the overhead cast. Okay, so it's handling 2.3 grams or roughly 3/32 of an ounce with, I would say, little trouble, very little trouble. All right, let's go this way. I know there's some little bass in this little cove. In fact, I see some on the water there. Okay, accuracy was, it's still kind of pulling to the left, so you're definitely gonna have to adjust your casting stroke. All right, I have to slow this retrieve down. Now what's so shocking is that the spool is not even close to blowing up. It's not even close to blowing up at all. Okay guys, so we have a slight headwind coming in. So I'm going to see what this thing does into a headwind. Now it wasn't a massive headwind, but it handled it no problem at all. And as you can see, at the end of a somewhat long cast, I have plenty of line left. So I could even possibly lighten the spool up by spooling up even less line next time. So the SLX, I'm still a big CASITAS fanboy. I still say that currently is probably the best ever $99 bait caster performance wise. But the SLX is starting to impress me. Look how long that went. That went probably at least 70 foot. with the aid of a little bit of wind. Such a nice day out here. Okay, headwind coming in. Let's see what it does. Spool, not even any hint of blow up. Of course, the accuracy went off to the left. And that's gonna be the one weakness of this reel trying to throw lures like this, is you're not gonna be nearly as accurate, at least right off the bat. Okay, there we had a blow up. At least right off the bat against a, you know, a dedicated bait finesse reel like a Scorpion, BFS, etc., etc. But to know that you can just buy a cheap rod like this and then just spool up your SLX with some cheap 4-pound mono, only about a quarter of the way, and be able to handle a 2.3 gram lure is pretty awesome. Okay guys, so I checked all the tackle boxes I brought, and I don't think I brought a true 16th ounce lure with me, unfortunately. But we have a Kitech Easy Shiner 2-inch with, I believe, a 16th or a 32nd ounce head. I'll show the picture of how much it weighs. And this might be one of the lightest lures that I brought today. And let's see how it goes. Okay, so accuracy was off, went off to the left, but the distance was good. Now the spool can cast it out there, but the accuracy is going to be something that you'd have to work on. I say that's going about 40 foot. Yep. The cast is going off to the left a little bit. Okay guys, when I decided to make this video, I expected the SLX to be able to cast 1/8 ounce lures with acceptable results, but I didn't expect it to be able to cast true bait finesse weight lures like the 2.3 gram jerkbait and the 2 gram swim bait as well as it did. And what really surprised me was that it did it without much effort or difficulty. What I mean is that what really shocked me was that the spool was super controlled. Now keep in mind I was using only one break on, casting lures that would give other reels fits as far as line control goes. I ended up fishing there for a couple of hours and catching a couple of small bass, and I only had a couple of backlashes that were my fault and really no overruns. Now of course I attribute that to mostly the spool being filled up only a quarter of the way. But now let's not get ahead of ourselves. The distances I was achieving were nothing spectacular, but they were easily fishable distances. Of course, a true bait finesse reel would cast those lures farther, easier, and with a lot better accuracy. And speaking of accuracy, that was the only real handicap that I saw out there, but a handicap that I kind of solved by just not casting as hard and adjusting my release point. Now a better rod than that $15 AliExpress noodle that I was using would help the accuracy and the ability to cast overhead, but as it stands, straight out of the box with the spool only filled 1/4 full, the Shimano SLX is definitely a bait finesse capable reel if you pair it up with a capable rod. So for all you guys out there that have an SLX, all you really need is a cheap ultralight rod and you are ready for some creek fishing with ultralight lures. Okay guys, thanks a lot.